Established in 2017, the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Authority (Ppda) is an autonomous institution that oversees all public sector procurement and disposal activities in Malawi. The institution is the product of Procurement and Supply Management Reform Program process that the Malawi government and its cooperating partners, particularly the World Bank, embarked on from as early as the year 1996. The objective of the reform program was to introduce a procurement system that is transparent, fair, and accountable. By July 2003, the program gained fresh momentum in the new millennium with the enactment of the Public Procurement Act.
The Malawi government comes up with a budget, and that budget ought to be used to procure goods, works, and services. Historically, all these things were done by government institutions. Previously, procurement was handled by the Malawi Tender Board, central government stores, PVHEAs. These were designated institutions that the government used to procure its goods. What was not working basically was, one, lead time was just unbearable. From the time a government department wants something to buy from the market for its daily or project operation, it was taking so long because it was a centralized procurement system. Two, there was no professionalism in public procurement. And three, procurement was not regulated by a legal setting like a framework. There was no legal framework. There were no standard bidding documents. Or in other words, there was no standard procedures in management of public procurement. And corruption was also thought to be finding a fertile ground in centralized procurement. And another very important point was there was a need to give power to the people. Now, the centralized system never had that feature. All and everything were being done by the central government. With the political dispensation, democratization of Malawi into multi-party, the international community advised the government that so many things should change, and one of the things that they impressed upon the government of Malawi to change was the procurement system. Now, the government did not just change it as it were. They had to involve a consultant who carried out the whole analysis of public procurement in Malawi and found it wanting. And they proposed that there should be a regulation, a policy, a public policy like an act. And that act was put in place in 2003.
By law, the Ppda is not mandated to carry out procurements or engage in disposal of public assets, as this is the responsibility of the procuring and disposing entities through their procurement and disposal units.
Since this office was established by the Act, and it gave the authority that responsibility to administer the Act, we are responsible now to issue the subsidiary legislation, the desk instructions, circulars, which basically implement the provisions of the Act.
Comparatively, how has the Act impacted on the public sector procurement system in Malawi?
The law has exposed the procurement processes to the extent that it is so difficult for a scandal, particularly procurement, to go out unnoticed. Previously, we would not hear about corruption. And the media would not cover or write anything about corruption. Of late, after the law was put in place, the media is awash with corruption issues, corruption scandals related to public procurement, several of them, and the media, I would comfortably say, is so infested with procurement scandals.
Does this mean the law is weak to an extent that it has exacerbated corruption in public procurement? Or did we really need the law?
Yes, we needed the law. And the law is simply and exactly doing what it was meant to do. Now, when you see a lot of these things coming out into the papers, you just know how much the citizenry is getting engaged in procurement processes. How much the citizenry are able to go to ACB and obtain a restriction order to stop a particular procurement. And that is a very positive a milestone as far as public procurement is concerned.
To bring more sanity in public procurement, the government embarked on another process to give the officer more power in regulating the sector.
When the reviewers of the law saw that, they looked into the existing law, which was the Public Procurement Act 2003, and found that it was lacking some authority in executing or managing this public policy. Then they upgraded it from an office to an authority. Now, the authority has more powers now as compared to the office, which was Office of the Director of Public Procurement. Now it's the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority.
And how has this improved public procurement in the country?
In us enforcing compliance with the Act and its supporting legislation, we do reviews of submissions from the programming entities. These are ministries, departments, and government agencies. So before they get to a decision to award a contract, we are supposed to undertake a review of those submissions to ensure that they are complying with our legislation we are talking about. Now, on the other hand, the review is at two levels. We do prior reviews, that is before the contracts are awarded. Then we also undertake what we call post-procurement reviews. That's after the entities have awarded contracts. We do go around the countries trying to check that no objection we issued to various contracts. The part of contract administration was also undertaken in accordance with the provisions of the law.
Public procurement has set values. Such values cannot be awarded, certain values cannot be awarded to a contractor without publishing them in the papers. That's the law. That's how it is bringing light to a procurement process. Now, a district council, if buys item to a certain value, they're supposed to declare it in the media. We are buying this, and this contract, we are giving it to this one. Then people are able to read and say, aha, here there was something we didn't understand. We are going to ACB. ACB, can you stop this procurement?
In terms of giving out thresholds, as well as giving out thresholds, it's not just based on budgets. They're also based on the performance of the MDA. The performance of the MDA talks a lot about the capacity of the procurement and disposal unit or division that is in that institution. So we feel like the sanity is there.
Besides setting the threshold for government ministries, departments and agencies, the authority has more other roles and responsibilities.
We also undertake what we call investigations. Should there be any report of alleged malpractices, either by suppliers or procurement officials in the ministries, departments and agencies, we do undertake investigations. We do this, of course, in collaboration with the Anti-Corruption Bureau, who are mandated by the Corrupt Practices Act to undertake investigations.
In terms of bringing sanity, the member that is working is aware that they're being monitored, they're being regulated both by Ppda and MIPS. And I would cite examples of disciplinary hearings that we've conducted in line with Ppda. For example, when there were audits in terms of the squandering of COVID funds, there were various disciplinary hearings that we conducted in conjunction with Ppda. So our member is working out there knowing that I'm being monitored both by MIPS and Ppda, and we do collaborate in terms of disciplining our members.
With all this, surely public procurement needed the tough law that would execute more authority.
The law has illuminated the whole process, and it is very clear. You mess up, the arm of the law is going to catch up with you.
With the law in place and well established, an adequately staffed institution, Ppda is now better placed to regulate a public procurement system that is transparent, accountable, full of integrity and professionalism, and more importantly, impartial.
Transparency is at the heart of the law, and transparency has been achieved. Without fear of contradiction, we have, managed transparency to a very good level. Well, 60-70% as we stand now. Why? Procurement has been decentralized, and procurement is now done by a team which they call Internal Procurement Committee at a government department level. None other than this that can qualify transparency. We want people to be making decisions according to what the law says, with or without pressure. That's integrity. And this is what we are advancing as Ppda. We want our staff, we want the procurement cadre in Malawi to be the carriers of integrity. Accountability, we want people to unveil the process and find people behind the process and who made the decision. And let that particular officer be accountable for the decision is made. When it comes to teamwork, we would like people, we want people in the government establishments, when they are carrying out public procurement, they should be able to call somebody at Ppda and say, I am stuck here. What should I do? What is the right thing? That is the teamwork. Don't just stay on your own, carrying out the whole procurement for the whole procurement cycle that takes probably 45, 60 days, only to find you have done something wrong. You are denying people's development somewhere. Professionalism, I want to pursue it with all the passion that I have. I want an accountant to be doing accounts. A procurement should be doing procurement. An engineer should be doing engineering. We don't want an engineer who would say, because my department is engineering oriented, therefore procurement should be headed by an engineer. I want to discourage that as much as possible, and I'll pursue it with passion. Impartiality, we want to treat each and every supplier equally. We want to make judgment on the information provided to us, not seeing who is the owner of this company.
Realizing that the Public Procurement Act was only reviewed in 2017 following its enactment in 2013, the Ppda and professionals in the sector note that there is more that needs to be done to instill professionalism and ensure that the public sector procurement is being done according to law.
We are saying we are open, come to us. As a team, we work together. We have a fully established advisory services department at Ppda, which is supposed to be used by each government department to source information, to source solutions where they're stuck.
The key role of our directorate is to ensure that the players we deal with, the ministries, departments, agencies, have capacity in the conducting procurement and disposal matters.
In Malawi, currently we do not have any institution that is offering training for public procurement. So we rely on the Ppda because they are the ones that provide professional development to our members and again to all the sectors that are involved in public procurement. So I would say that is also another role that Ppda will play in that case. So we do conduct some tailor-made trainings together with the Ppda to also help our member to develop professionally.
To uplift small businesses in the country, The PPDA is already putting to life the 2020 gazetted Small and Medium Enterprise SMEs order that is expected to address challenges facing SMEs in conducting business with government. The new order's overall objective is to enable SMEs to find adequate space to do business with government by way of procurement.
As an authority, developed the guidelines to ensure that micro, small, medium enterprises are participating in public procurement, and we are specifically targeting the suppliers, those who are eligible as micro, small, and medium enterprises.
For several years, we worried as SMEs that we were not being given fair business cake in the country. But this order has made it possible because it has restricted some goods and purchases to be bought only from us as SMEs. So we have an advantage because then the big corporate bodies can not now compete with us in areas where the order has given us the chance to do business. Apart from that, the order also has helped that whenever we have seen an anomaly, i.e. maybe some ministries, departments, and agencies are giving those restricted businesses to the big corporations, we have been able to talk to the Ppda, we have written to the Ppda, we have come to the Ppda, and they have come to the rescue.
Ppda is even simplifying its bidding document, a tailor-made bidding document for the local supplier who can supply Masache to the district council, who can supply Njerwa to the district council. We are simplifying a document tailor-made for the local person in the village, where we may not demand some things we demand to the general supplier who are developed.
Now is the conduct of suppliers that deal with government ministries, departments, and agencies of any concern to Ppda. How does the authority get involved in the process?
We deliberately have interventions to make sure that the suppliers also are aware of their, what is expected of them in terms of conduct. So we normally try to arrange what we call consultative meetings, where we do regional, maybe quarterly or half a year, going around where we interface with suppliers for them to also understand the public environment. Beyond that, we have in our legal framework provisions which, should a supplier been found that he was engaged in a certain malpractice, we do call them for a hearing. We have that provision. So we have an independent review committee comprised of different professionals from all industries who are actually appointed, and we accord them necessary training so that when there is a complaint from a ministry that one supplier possibly is being involved in certain malpractice, we do call them for that hearing. And should they found to have been really being involved in such a malpractice, we do debar them. And there are different levels of the, depending on the gravity of the misconduct, we can debar them for 6 months, 2 years, and 5 years. So we do have those provisions to ensure that our public officials are compliant and also the suppliers are compliant. But all these are already highlighted in the Act, and that's what is used for as our reference. To bar the supplier, it has to be made public, because all the ministry, all government departments, and even the public should know that as per our resolution of the disciplinary hearing, this supplier or this bidder is not eligible to participate in government contracts for a certain period.
High on Ppda's agenda is ensuring public procurement is being done at a required speed, and adopting new technologies would be the most efficient way to achieve this.
We are going E1, that's where the whole world is going. The whole track is going towards electronic transaction. We cannot be left behind. This e-procurement project, it's a do or die. Whatever is on our way has to be eliminated, and this must prevail. We want efficiency, and we want speed, and we want transparency. We want to enhance transparency by transacting, doing all procurement business on a platform that is accessible to everyone, on his phone, on his computer, everywhere. People should be able to track a procurement process. That's what we want to achieve. Transparency will be one of the pillars in this particular project. Speed. We don't want somebody from Chitipa to carry a minibus, to board a minibus, to come to Mzuzu to buy a bidding document and then go back. We want them just to download right away on the platform.
Ppda also has got a very vibrant website that whenever we want to check on government orders, government contracts from the MDAs, we have been able to check the Ppda website. There is also another interesting thing that MDAs are supposed to produce their annual buying plans. These have been provided.
We are an institution that relies on levies and supplier fees and the government subvention. But right now, we are moving towards autonomy, whereby we'll be able to collect levies from the PDEs. And it's the levies, the suppliers' fees, and the other charges and fines that will be sustaining our operations. It's like we are coming up with a program whereby we want to be giving awards to the PDEs that are complying with the Public Procurement and Dispose of Assets Act 2017. So these PDEs that will be getting the awards will be those people that are complying with the submission of procurement plans, submission of procurement reports, remittance of their levies on time.